All right, so imagine this. You're going to see a play, right?
Okay.
But first, you find yourself in this dimly lit space. Everyone's kind of hushed, expectant. There's art on every wall. Maybe you even grab a coffee.
Not your average pre-show routine.
Exactly. And that's Rangashankara for you. Today, we're diving deep into what makes this Bangalore theater so unique. It's like way more than just the performance itself, you know?
It's true, the sources really highlight how Rangashankara blends community and accessibility with the art itself. A pretty unique recipe, wouldn't you say?
Totally. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's rewind a bit. This theater was founded by Arundhati Nag.
Right, to honor her late husband.
Shankar Nag, the actor. It's almost like a love letter to him, you know, and to their shared love for theater. What do you think?
Definitely, you can feel that passion. Rangashankara is all about pushing boundaries, showcasing a huge spectrum of performances, and not just from India. They bring in international acts too. And get this, they're active 6 days a week.
6 days a week.
You heard right. They are committed, completely dedicated to keeping theater alive and kicking. It's not a museum, not at all. It's a living, breathing art form for them.
I love that. And something that really stands out from everything we've read is their commitment to accessibility. No gate, affordable tickets, even special accommodations for senior citizens. It's really something.
It really is. They've thought of everything to make sure everyone feels welcome, which is huge, especially in India where access to the arts isn't always a given.
So true. You know, it makes me think of those other theaters we came across in the research, the Prithvi and Shivaji Mandirs in Mumbai. How would you compare Rangashankara to these more, shall we say, established spaces?
That's an interesting comparison. Those grand old theaters, they're pillars of Indian theater history. But Rangashankara, it's forging its own path. It embraces both the traditional and the contemporary, catering to a city like Bangalore, a place known for its youthful spirit and, modern outlook.
It was meeting a real need in Bangalore, almost like they've taken the best of traditional theater and infused it with a fresh modern vibe.
Exactly. Rangashankara reflects how Indian theater is evolving, all while staying true to its roots.
And speaking of roots, I'm totally captivated by this whole sensory experience angle. The way the pre-show atmosphere is described with the dim lighting, the hush, it's almost like stepping into a sacred space. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's deliberate and honestly brilliantly done. Rangashankar gets it. A performance is so much more than what's on stage. The experience begins the moment you step onto the grounds.
Right, like they're saying, leave the outside world behind. You're entering a different space now. And I love the detail about encouraging people to read the walls, to actually interact with the art on display. What do you make of that? What are they going for, do you think?
They're breaking down the barriers between the audience and the art itself. You're not just a passive viewer, you're part of this living, breathing environment. You engage with the space on your own terms.
Creating a sense of discovery before the curtain even rises. So, with our senses already heightened, let's step into the auditorium. What awaits us inside? I feel like we're about to step into a really special space. So what is it about the Rangashankara Auditorium that makes it so unique?
Well, picture this. You're in your seat, right? But instead of this massive, sprawling auditorium, you're in a space designed for intimacy. Like you could almost reach out and touch the stage.
Wow, that's such a different feeling than those traditional theaters we often think of. Why do you think they made that choice?
Connection, plain and simple. Rangashankara wants to break down those walls between the performer and the audience. You're not just watching. You're pulled into the heart of it all. And get this, apparently the middle rows are the hottest tickets in the house.
Really? Why the middle rows? What's the appeal?
Honestly, the sources didn't say. But I imagine it's about finding that sweet spot, the perfect balance between intimacy and getting swept up in the whole spectacle.
I could see that. Being right there in the middle of the action must add a whole other layer. But the innovation doesn't stop there, does it? Didn't you mention something about character introductions and techniques? Tell me more about that.
Yeah. After the performance, they actually give the audience a chance to engage directly with the artists and learn about how they brought it all to life.
No way. It's like a peek behind the curtain. How do you think that impacts the audience's experience, their understanding of the art form as a whole?
It creates this deeper appreciation for sure. You see all the work that goes into a production, and it demystifies things, Makes theater less intimidating, more accessible, especially for young artists or anyone curious about that world.
It's like they're saying, this is for everyone. Come learn with us. And that really ties back to this theme of transparency and engagement that we're seeing in Rangashankara. Do you see any similarities between these practices and other theater traditions globally?
Oh, absolutely. This whole focus on audience interaction is part of a much bigger movement in theater worldwide. We're seeing more and more experimental, immersive productions popping up, breaking that fourth wall and bringing the audience into the fold.
So Raga Shankar is part of something much larger, a global shift in how we experience art. It's not just about passively observing anymore. It's about active participation. This is fascinating. But let's shift gears a bit, because Ranga Shankara's commitment to their community, it goes way beyond the stage, doesn't it? They're involved in all sorts of interesting programs and initiatives. It sounds like Ranga Shankar is deeply woven into the community. What are some ways they extend their impact beyond the main stage?
One cool thing they do is host rehearsals for local theater groups.
So they're providing a professional space for these groups to grow.
Exactly. And it's not just about providing a stage, they also have these annual festivals.
Oh, tell me more about the festivals.
There's celebrations of all kinds of art forms, drawing people from all over. It's a really big deal.
It sounds like they're creating this amazing, vibrant art scene. And not just for established artists, but for up-and-coming ones as well.
Absolutely. And of course, they're passionate about fostering a love of theater in kids.
Right, with their children's workshops. Like that one we talked about, Gumma Banda Gumma.
Do we know anything more about that play? What makes it so special?
Well, the sources didn't go into detail about the story itself, but just the fact that it's a recurring thing says a lot.
Like it's become a tradition.
Right. Maybe even a modern classic,
Yeah.
Something that kids growing up with Ranga Shankara can experience year after year.
Their own little piece of the theater. Okay, so with all of these amazing initiatives, how would you sum up Rangashankara's impact?
They're creating a space where theater isn't just entertainment, it's a way to connect.
And to grow. And to make a difference. Rangashankara is proof that theater can be a powerful tool for building community and driving social change.
It really is inspiring. It feels like they've found a way to bring art, accessibility, and community together.
Absolutely.
It's a model for theaters everywhere. And speaking of models, you had a really thought-provoking question you wanted to leave our listeners with, something to really ponder about the future of theater.
Yeah, so we've seen how impactful Rangashankara is, but could this model be replicated? Could we see spaces like this popping up all over?
Revitalizing interest in theater.
Exactly. Not just in India, but globally. Even in places where theater isn't really a big part of the culture.
Wow. That's a powerful thought. It makes you wonder, what if the key to the future of theater is rediscovering that human connection?
It's definitely something to think about.
Ranga Shankara is certainly proving it's possible. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into this truly unique and inspiring space.
It really is a testament to the power of art.
And to the power of community. So to everyone listening, we hope this has sparked your own curiosity about theater. Take a look around. You might be surprised by the amazing and inspiring spaces right in your own backyard. And who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to start your own theatrical revolution.